Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first annual Golden Geeks. My name is Travis Snail, and I'm going to be joined by all the fellow geeks. We're going to be one by one announcing the winners of all the nominees that we picked. You can go back in the past to see how we picked them, but today, ladies and gentlemen, we are finding out the winners. And we're starting off with Best Geek Villain of the Year. Man, what a villainous year it has been all around in 2016. We saw a blind guy fuck some shit up. We saw a man go to nowhere where he's gone before. We've gone back into Wizarding World with a guy named Percy, which isn't that scary, but I guess he kind of is. There's a fucking tiger that's back in our hearts. And, the one and only Mads Mikkelsen. So I'm going to read you off the official nominees. Here they are, Best Geek Villain. Colin Farrell as Graves, a.k.a. Percival Graves. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Idris Elba as Shere Khan from The Jungle Book. John Goodman as, what was his name, Dylan? Howard from 10 Cloverfield Lane. The main man, Mad Mikkelsen, as Caecilius from Doctor Strange, and the blind man played by Stephen Lang in Don't Breathe. Your winner is John Goodman as Howard in 10 Cloverfield Lane. My goodness, what a performance. Well deserved. I'm going to throw it to Taylor, who's waiting on the not-so-red carpet to see if any of our guests have arrived.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe this. We are here at the first Golden Geeks, and you know what? I'm here on the gray carpet, and I'm waiting. The fans, the people, everyone, they're going to be coming in. It's a little bit cold out, so I got my jacket on. As you can see, there's a bit of snow. I'm hoping Nicolas Cage makes his appearance tonight, followed by Jared Leto, Jesse Eisenberg, John Travolta, all these huge names in the business. They're going to be rolling up here. I'm hoping J.J. Abrams, we got some people already. This is phenomenal. It's going to be a huge night, so I hope you look forward to it. It's going to be a blast.
Your nominees for most anticipated films of 2017 are Alien Covenant, Logan, Star Wars The Last Jedi, Thor Ragnarok, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And the winner is Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Here are your nominations for Best Supporting Geek Actor. Michael Fassbender as Magneto in X-Men Apocalypse. Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One from Doctor Strange. Tom Holland as Spider-Man from Civil War. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man from Civil War. And Charlize Theron as the Monkey from Kubo and the Two Strings. And the winner is Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. Congratulations to Tilda herself.
Here are the nominees for the Best Geek Scenes of 2016. Captain America, Civil War, Airport Scene. Darth Vader, Hallway Scene in Rogue One. The Orgy Scene in Sausage Party. X-Men, Apocalypse, The Wood Scene. And Deadpool, The Highway Scene. And the winner is Civil War, the Airport Scene.
Well, it looks like no one's here yet. I'm getting a little bit cold. I'm going to try and go in. They got some pretty good hot chocolate in there. I think Boston Pizza sponsored this place right now. So, they got some hot pizza in there, drinks, hors d'oeuvres. Can I come in?
No.
It's kind of, he had like a whole box of pizza in his hand, and now I don't get anything. So, okay.
Here are your nominations for Best Geek Actor. Chris Evans as Captain America in Captain America Civil War. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in Civil War. Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. And your winner is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And here are your nominations for Best Geek Actress. We have Jennifer Goodwin as Judy Hopps from Zootopia. We have Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Michelle from 10 Cloverfield Lane. We have Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso from Star Wars Rogue One. And your winner is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. What an astounding performance by Margot Robbie. It was very good. You know, I think she portrayed the character very well. Very deserving of this victory today. Congratulations, Margot Robbie. What are you going to do with your trophy? I don't know. Let us know in the comments section below.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for the best geek film of the year. And the nominees are Deadpool, Zootopia, Doctor Strange, Civil War, and Arrival. And the winner is... What's next? Civil War. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, that was a phenomenal year for the Golden Geeks, I have to say. First time, best time, definitely not the last time. So if you want to find more geek-filled content, make sure you check us in the search bar on Facebook at Geek vs. Space Podcast, and on Twitter, Geek vs. Cast, our website, geekvspodcast.com. We're also on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, everywhere, Twitch. Check us out. We'll see you in the search bar.
Here are the nominees for...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year, the best time of the year. It is the time for the Golden Geeks. And okay,
No.
You're last. People have already done this. I'll do that part because I'm gonna introduce the first award. So they already know they're watching the Golden Geeks.
Here are the nominees for the best Geekverse scenes of 2016.
No, not Geekverse. We didn't make
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, it's ancient.
I'll pretend I... Whoa! In a shocking turn of events, it's Paul Rudd!
Darth Vader. X-Men Apocalypse would see. What?
Say the Darth Vader scene at the end of Star Wars Rogue One.
Oh, right, yeah.
Should see the movie.
You're just like
Damn it.
Darth Vader.
You're making me all nervous and shit.
The nominations are as follows: Arrival, Deadpool, Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Zootopia.
You want to do that again, but not so quick? I did it purposely so you didn't have to be quick, and yeah, I felt like you like sped up on.
You also don't have to aggressively do fingers unless it really helps you to narrow it down.
Yeah.
That's water.
There's not
There's
enough
no water. It's fine.
I have a water bottle.
I'm over it.
We have Jennifer Goodwin as... I'm just going to say Zootopia.
What the fuck was her name in Zootopia?
I have no idea.
Let's find out.
Darth Vader.
Judy Hopps Jr. Darth Vader, hallway scene from Star Wars Rogue One.
Darth Vader. Oh, god damn.
He looks scared.
I'm so screwed.
Darth Vader.
Judy Hopps.
Jr.
Judy Hopps Jr.
Judy Hopps Jr.
Yikes. We have Jennifer Goodwin as Judy Hopps Jr. from Zootopia.
I'm just joking, it's not Jr., it's just Jr.
Fuck you.
Here are the nominees for the best geek scenes.
Okay, don't laugh.
I know, you guys giggled, I couldn't help it.
Yeah, I'll look away. We have Jennifer Goodwin as Judy Hopps Sr. in Zootopia. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as a character in Cloverfield. I don't know any of these characters' names, dude.
X-Men Apocalypse Now. Oh. Every time. Every time. I can't say Apocalypse without saying Apocalypse Now.
We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Mary from Cloverfield. Is that the correct name?
It's Michelle, I just
Her name is Mary.
That's all the bloopers. That's indeed thought right there. You look like Magneto trying to move the camera. The camera.
I'm gonna make it explode. Fuck my life. This is awful.
That's good enough.
I hate endings.
Why do you hate endings? You've been doing it the whole time.
When no one else is there to jump.
Yay, we did it.
This is gonna be an editing masterpiece for you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great edition of Geek vs. Podcast. I imagine it should be... What the hell episode is this? 103.
103? Wow.
Yeah, there's like a weird like time jump, but it's 103 already. Just at 100. Check that out. I am The main man, Travis Snail.
The main man.
Because he kind of refers to him as that. I think he's like, oh, my main man. Remember the dad?
I'm gonna be the bingo player, Jessica.
Ah, good one.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, if you've seen the title, we're doing a Get Out review. We're going to talk spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
for
So
sure.
we'll do like an overall right now, just a quick sense of what each other thought, then we'll get into some spoilers. So if you have seen it, stay tuned. If you haven't, see it, come back and enjoy the goodness that is our voices and faces.
You're not wrong on either.
Yeah. So what did you think of the movie overall?
Overall, I really liked it.
Mhm.
I thought that it wasn't quite what I expected going in.
Mhm.
So I will give it that I was pleasantly surprised with how it actually turned out to be. I found that there was there was comedy, but not an overbearing amount. And I like that it wasn't actually like a horror like it's classified to be. It was more kind of like a psychological thriller.
Oh, yeah.
I did enjoy too that you don't really know any of the characters. So when you're watching, you don't like get distracted. Like when you see Neil Patrick Harris, and you're like, oh, that's Barney from How I Met Your Mother, and, So I liked that, I could actually kind of submerge into the movie because I didn't know anyone. There were a couple spots I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I didn't think that the music choices or the sound.
Yeah, there's a couple times the score fit really well, and there's time it kind of stuck out, and like I got what they're going for, but for me it was some more of like the old timey stuff. Like this isn't a spoiler, but there's like a party scene, and that some of the music in there felt a little off for me. So yeah, I can see what you're saying there.
So I found that. I thought the pacing was pretty good. There was maybe one or two spots where, things could have gone a little faster, a little slower, but overall, I thought it was pretty well done. Yeah, and I'll leave that as my kind of general overview.
Yeah, I'm similar. I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I was gonna. I think probably because the trailer got me really excited, and I can't say that because it's I'll say in the spoilers, but yeah, the trailer got me really excited. So I was already really excited. I was already like wanting it to be like one of the most anticipated of the year. It was still really good. I really enjoyed it. I like something original. It's something very unique. Like it's totally different. You'll not see this anywhere else, maybe other than like a Black Mirror episode. Like it kind of felt like that. If you've seen Black Mirror and haven't seen this, but that's the best way I could equate it, and not just because like Daniel Kaluuya is in it because he's from Black Mirror. Like I really enjoyed it. I think for me there was a couple pacing things where they get into like kind of like action or like story stuff, like moving along, and then I would kind of slow down to a pace of like, I don't know, some character stuff. Like it felt like, okay, we're getting into the mystery, and then it's like, oh, we pull back, and we're getting into it and we pull back, which was fine a couple times, but I think maybe not too many would have been fine or would have been better. And I found, I think we talked about this in the chat, I found it a little too predictable most of the thing. There was one thing from day one when we saw it and reviewed on Geekverse, I'm like, oh, I bet that's the thing, and then it turned out to be, I'm like, oh, dang, like that sucks, which is fine, but like overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie. I think everyone should see this. I think it's a very, I can just say, unique movie, and yeah, it is not as horror-ish, but it's like, it's good thriller-wise, and yeah, the only other negative I have is there's sometimes where it felt like the characters were really realistic and lived in our world, where there's times where it kind of got like heightened sense, like felt like slipped into like horror thriller genre. So that kind of like took me for like, I don't know, like kind of liked it, kind of did in some parts. So, but overall, I really liked it.
Yeah, I definitely would recommend seeing it.
I say see it in a theater too, honestly,
Yeah.
because it's fun. There's some gasp and some. There's one lady who kept screaming every jump scare. That was kind of annoying, but it was kind of funny
was
too.
it The only jump scare, which this isn't a spoiler because it was in the commercial, was that deer.
Oh, there's another one I'll tell in the non-spoiler or in the spoiler section.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah,
Okay.
which we'll jump into right now. Unless you have anything else to say quickly.
No, we can jump right into spoilers.
So if you haven't seen this, get out. It's that one when he's going to take that photograph of the lady, and she like turns quickly. Like remember their maid is like looking in the mirror doing her hair.
Yeah, and then
that was the one that got this lady like big time, like screamed
Really?
so much. Yeah, she screamed actually quite a bit, and she laughed quite a bit. So it's kind of funny. But what I was gonna say, because I wanted to say it right off the bat, the thing that I felt that bothered me was the trailer. If I hadn't seen this trailer, like it's a catch-22, I wouldn't have probably gone to seen this movie because like I like Jordan Peele enough, but like the synopsis of the plot doesn't even like what is even the synopsis? A young African American man visits his Caucasian girlfriend's mysterious family. If I just read that, I would just think, oh, it's gonna be like a really dramatic movie. So I wouldn't have seen this without the trailer. But then at the same time, I did feel that the trailer didn't give too much away, but there's a lot of moments I knew was coming, like the moment when that maid is talking to him and she starts like laughing and crying. The moment when he takes the picture, the moment when that guy's running in the yard at him and then he turns, like that was stuff already shown in the trailer. So that was the only thing for me that, like I said, it worked because it got me there. But for me, I was like, oh, I know this is coming. I know this is coming. Like the part 2 where the girl comes out with the gun. That's how way back when we saw the trailer, I was like, I bet she's bad, and she wasn't because I hadn't seen that gun thing yet. There's one in the trailer. There's one shot of her like kicking the door and she points the gun, and I'm like, well, that looks like a bad guy thing to do. So there's all these moments I was kind of like, I know this is coming. I know this is coming. So that was my only problem.
See, I don't
not my only, but my one thing.
I really don't remember any of those things from back because
Mhm.
the first time that we watched the trailer on the cast, that's the only time I watch it. Like I didn't make Matt watch it or anything like that. So
I can't remember when that was even. I think it was like summertime somewhere. Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
So I had forgotten all about all those things, so I kind of went into it
That's
just
good.
knowing that this movie looked like it was going to be good.
Mhm.
I mean, and for sure, I definitely probably had some bias going in because it is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It
Yeah.
has been for a couple days now, so
Still is, I think, out of 100 and something critics. Like it's
yeah,
100.
it's doing really good.
Yeah, and I said like it's really good for him, but tough as a director now. Like how do you go up from there? Like you got 100%. That's his directorial debut. Yeah, out of 132, average rating is an 8.3 out of 10, which is really good. So an audience scores seem to like it. So yeah, like and maybe that's another thing too. Is just because when you see that for myself, I go in and I'm like, oh man, it's a 100% movie. So I think between the trailer and that kind of hurt my expectations because I was expecting so much, and I still really liked it. But I guess we can start with just the cast quickly. What did you think about them? Is there anyone you want to shout out, whether you liked or didn't like, or?
I don't know if there's anyone I really was drawn to specifically, but I will say Matt pointed this out. The main girl looks like Deb from Dexter.
Yeah, she is. People might not know, but she's Brian Williams. He's a very famous newscaster. It's his daughter. He's on like NBC and whatnot, and she's in Girls as well too. That's where I first saw her a long time ago. Was Girls.
I looked her up. I didn't know anything on her IMDb. So
yeah, she. I think other than Girls, she hasn't done that much in like movies and whatnot. So.
Whoever his friend was, the one that works for the TSA.
Let's see if I got a name here. Was it not well? Oh, Rod Williams, and his name is Lil Ray. How are we? How are we?
I really enjoyed his character. So I just thought he was pretty great when he like goes into the police station and he's like tells his story and the cop's just like, oh, 1 second, goes and get the other 2 cops and he's like so into it. Now get this.
See, I hated
Sex
that
slaves.
scene though. That was funny, and for the most part, I found funny. For me, it was like a 70-30. There was some stuff that felt like a little forced in the beginning. I found more stuff near the end was funnier. Like for me, I liked the second half of the movie a lot more than the first. Because to me, there was a couple times where I felt it was like a little too slow. Like I was wanting it to move along. But the second half was great. But I didn't like that scene because there's missing reports of the guy. And then the cops don't really look into it at all. You know, like I kind of wish there wasn't reports of him on the internet. I wish that it was to clarify. It's that guy he sees, he sends him a picture, and then he's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I wish he would have just said like, oh yeah, like people haven't seen him around for a while or something like that. I wish they wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, he's been missing. And then the internet, because like the cop just takes it so unserious. That was my problem. Like there's sometimes movies like super realistic, and that didn't feel realistic to me. You know, like the joke part was funny, but I still thought, okay, they're gonna help him out in the end, right?
Yeah.
You feel like, oh, he's right, but they don't. They laugh him off, and then he's alone. So that for me was like, I didn't like that part.
Yeah, did he showed them the picture, right?
He did show him the picture, and then like he said he found it online, everything like that.
Yeah, so that is a little weird, especially because it was a black cop too, right?
Yeah,
so
they all were, I think, too. The other 2 she brought in
yeah,
too.
so I mean, there shouldn't have even been that discrimination thing that this movie even goes for because I mean, in theory, you would think that they would care because you could say, this movie does touch a lot on racial issues.
Oh yeah, I think that's the strongest part. Is like the social commentary it does. Like I think the best part to me is when he's like in the party and then he walks upstairs and it all goes silent and everyone's just staring and listening to his footprints. Like it has a lot to say, and and that part to me is like the best part. Like even more than the horror part, it does really good. Even the beginning when he's just like talking about how he's like nervous to go to her parents, and his friend is like, you don't go to a white girl's parents, stuff like that. Like that was really good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good themes. So yeah, I'll agree there on that one.
So this is kind of jumping around, but to go back to that party, because everyone is trying to talk to him to find out if they want to bid on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love how they play it off more racist. Like, you know,
Yeah.
they could have these conversations in a non-racist way, but it's just
Mhm.
like, oh, do you play golf? Oh, I love Tiger Woods. And it's like,
Yeah.
it really doesn't need to take the turns that
Yeah.
it does. And I thought they did a good job of kind of, you know, really kind of playing on that it doesn't have to be the way that these white people are making it out to be. They don't have to make these comments, but
Yeah.
it keeps coming back to it.
Well, yeah, I really liked that part, and I really liked most of the movie did a good job of making you feel pretty awkward in those conversations, because there's some movies that they try to go for that, and it's ho-hum. You're like, okay, I get what they're going for, but I don't feel emotion. Where many times there's like skin crawling moments that where you're like, oh, you shouldn't I hope there is when you watch the movie. You should watch this and know there's skin crawling moments. Like that was my biggest thing too, as far as positive. The way it like makes you feel. It does it is kind of like a stomach turner, but I think that whole party scene is really good. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at first, but I love the reveal, the bingo thing. Because at first I'm like, I don't really understand. Like I got once they show the picture, I'm like, oh, okay. But at first I just didn't understand. I'm like, why is he pointing? But like that's where I thought the score worked. Like I thought the score worked more in the scary stuff. What did the score not work for you? Because they were in spoilers. What did it like? What?
I don't remember exactly where it was. I just remember I was watching it, and all of a sudden, like, you know when you're watching a movie and you can't really tell that all of a sudden music starts, it's just kind of there. But there was times when it started and I was just kind of like,
You could tell.
yeah, it just took me out right away, and I'm like, that doesn't fit.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. And I guess I didn't shout, but I thought they all did good. The cast, Daniel Kaluuya, I think that's how you say his last name. I'm not sure if you've seen the episode of Black Mirror. It's in the first season where he's the guy. It's where you run or do exercise for points or
No, I've only
money.
watched the third season.
Oh, there's
so-
one episode. Yeah, in the first season, he has a really, really good episode, and he was kind of a breakout star there. And I think he's going to go on and do a lot of stuff. I liked his character. I liked the way he was written. I liked his character for the most part until the ending, and I guess that's my only other big negative. I didn't like it. It kind of felt like Don't Breathe to me, where it was really realistic and fun up until the point where this is jumping way ahead. But so he's knocked out and everything like this, and then he figures out that, oh, I could put the cotton in my ears, and that's a smart thing. He does that. He gets out. He kills he knocks the guy out with the medicine ball or whatever. But then immediately he takes out the cotton in his ears, and that really frustrated me. When he hits that lady and goes back, I get that they're trying to say oh, he's a nice guy, but
Well, especially the cotton in the ears, because as soon as he pulls it out and goes upstairs, and she's there with the cup, and
Yeah.
it's just if you had the cotton in your ears, it wouldn't matter.
I think the only reason they do that is so they could set up that scene so they could have a scuffle for the cup. But it's I did like that he at the end of time was just killing everybody. I don't like in movies when they just kind of they're just trying to get out.
You know what? I will give him the defense that he was in the very basement, and he did have to try and get out of the house. So he wouldn't really be able to hear the dad or the girl or the
True.
mom coming at him
Mhm.
if he still had that shoved in his ears.
True, but I thought you could do it enough. You could have it sitting there ready to go. So if you see that cup, you push them
Or at
back
least
in
hold them in
immediately.
your hands or
Yeah,
something.
just to discard, even the pockets, that was my thing, just to discard them. I didn't like, I was referring to earlier, when he hit that lady and he went back for her. I get that they were doing the parallels, oh, it's his mom, he left his mom on the side of the road, and it's oh, he's a nice person, he hopes that there's a chance, but earlier that guy was yeah, there's only barely a sliver of the real person left in them, so it's I thought no matter what, that girl was always going to stay as the grandma, right, a bad,
Yeah.
crazy lady, so it's oh, that was stupid. And the only thing I kind of got, but I thought about last night, was when he's in the car and he crashes because she goes all nuts at him. The girl, what's her name? Character Rose. She goes and she shoots the car window. Immediately when the car window gets shot, he gets out the same way, not even looking. He gets shot. And he opens the door and he's just he starts to move out. I'm like, man, what if she just headshot you? I would have rather him left the lady and her to shoot out the tire, because I was saying this last night, that she misses every single shot she takes. I believe that character, the way she's using the gun, looks like she is shot before. So
Yeah.
she, other than that car window, she hits the tree, she hits the ground, all this weird stuff. Even when they're running, she misses him. So I felt it would have been better if she just shot the tire out and whatnot, because it would have done the same thing, because that old lady doesn't ever come back, right? She's
Yeah.
dead on impact. So that was my only thing I thought is realistic up until, other than some stuff being predictable, was that ending. I hate when really smart horror movies kind of turn into every other horror movie. And it didn't ruin it for me, but I was just I didn't like the ending.
I kind of agree. When it happened, I definitely was in my seat, and I was just kind of oh man, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just leave her on the ground. But, they did play up that he was, worried about her, taking the pictures of her, and, she did cry when they were having that conversation in the bedroom. And there is all the parallels with his mom and this and that. So, I mean, I kind of get it, but it was very typical. Like, you just kind of cringe and you're like, this is why you die. Like,
Yeah, like, I wouldn't be doing that.
No.
Like, the better thing is go get the police and they'll all come there, you know? And I did like that when the only thing I didn't find, like, predictable on the main thing was obviously the main plot of them doing this whole, like, brain operation to switch, like, that. I can't say I predicted that. Like, no way. But the little stuff of, like, I knew the girl was in on it, like, things like that. But I actually didn't get that when that cop car pulled up. I thought it was going to be the bad cop from the beginning, the one that asked for his ID. I'm like,
that's
oh.
exactly what I said.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna look like he's safe, and then it's like, no, you're screwed. So it's like, oh damn, and I that's why I did like this movie, because with lots of horror movies, I find you don't really cheer for the main character. You don't care. You're there to have some fun, see him get killed or have a good time. But I wanted him to get out. You know, like I said, I like when he was killing everybody, because it's like, sorry, but I would be doing that too if these people just like abducted me and like put me in a hypnosis. So I like that he killed the mother in like a really inefficient way though. I hate that the knife was through his hand. And he like palmed her. I'm like,
okay, dude, but that deer kill.
That was
my
good,
God,
yeah.
I was so happy
that was
with
good.
that.
The only thing I didn't like is when he died. I hated that the dad. They should have done a different take. When he was walking, his hand like literally like swapped, like hit the candle down to fall down. I wish he would have just collapsed into it. You know, like it looked really bad from like the angle they showed. It looked like he was falling, and the actor really like swapped it and went down. The only other person I shout out because I like him in other stuff is the guy. He played Jeremy, the Caleb Laundrie Jones. He's a young actor. The only thing I also know him is he was in X-Men First Class. He played the brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked him because he, to me, did the best, like, creepy, like, awkward guy. Like, that whole dinner scene when he talks about, like, MMA and UFC, it's so awkward and it's so bad because it kind of starts off like, oh, he's, like, the cool guy, and it's this thing of, like, I did think one of the kids wouldn't, I was kind of hoping one of the kids wouldn't be on in it, but then apparently, like, obviously they both were, but, like, at the beginning you're getting that vibe, like, oh, maybe that's what, because he doesn't live there, right? So maybe he's not part of this, but then it just turns, and then it's like...
Well, at the beginning of the conversation, he just kind of seems genuinely interested, but then he, like, gets up to do the MMA thing, and you're just like, dude, like, you need to calm down.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the parents did a good job, too.
I want to jump back, just because we were talking about the ending. Did they ever talk about how he got the cop car? Like,
no, I guess I just took that as like, I guess maybe the TSA has certain cars they could use.
Well, maybe it was a TSA car.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think to use. It looks exactly like a cop car, but I know nothing about TSA, but I imagine maybe they have something if they got to get to like, because were they in Los Angeles?
They were somewhere big.
So like obviously you'd need that in like real life. So that's the way I took it. So and yeah, I liked his subplot. I liked this thing with the dog and everything and taking him around. And I liked the phone call when he's trying to record, even though he takes way too long to set the recording, you know. But that was good. Yeah, I thought there was nobody bad in the cast. Like no one stuck out. I was like, eef, that wasn't bad, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess the only thing I'll say realistically, just because I'm looking at the mother, the only thing is. The whole character, the way the main character acted, what was his actual name? Chris, I felt was realistic, except for when she let him hypnotize her, because, like, I don't know, that's where, for me, it felt a little unrealistic, because, like, I would go far to impress a person's parents. I would not let anybody hypnotize me. Like,
but I don't think he knew that she was hypnotizing him.
Yeah, I guess she kind of started. Yeah,
TV,
true.
Right?
Yeah, well, even the talking about his dead mom, though, I would have been like, hey, like, I'm not talking about this. Like, this is kind of strange.
Was that right what they first got into, like, right away?
Well, at first I think it was just about the smoking, and then it was just about, like, they were talking pretty mellowly, and then she just says, like, oh, would your mom have thought that, or what would your mom think about, I think she asked, what would your mom think about the smoking, like, something like that, and then it transitioned into that, and that was good, like, I liked the sinking scenes, that was fun, and, like, the whole, like little TV, like, 80s screen while he's in the smoke, or, like, kind of this, like, watery black, sunken place or whatever. So yeah, like I liked all that. Like I liked a lot of the movie, honestly, and like I did think most of the humor hit for me. There was a few times that didn't, but it was just a little predictable. And that, like, I'm trying to think of like other big positives. Do you have any big, like, anything you want to shout out that you haven't yet?
For positives?
Yeah, or names, either way. But I'm trying to think of things that I haven't said yet.
Well, one thing that I was kind of wondering about too is, so right when they're about to leave, you kind of get that moment where he, like, finds the closet with all the pictures. Yeah. Why was that, like, open or just, like...
That's what I wasn't sure of, I wasn't sure if it was... I don't know, because she does that whole keys thing, right? And then she goes, like, oh, yeah, like, you're not going anywhere. So I was wondering if it was just them kind of fucking with them. That's the only thing I think. If not, it seemed a little convenient at the time. And I didn't really... Like... what was his plan? Was his I guess his plan? Do you think his plans was still to leave it there, or just to get the keys and leave by himself?
I think he would have just fucking gone.
Because at first I took it as that, but then he kind of made it seem, the character, that like he wanted Rose to come with him in a way. So
maybe he didn't think she was in on it up until that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if I was in that position, I see these people in pictures with her, I would just assume that she probably knew what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, I really do too. I guess, maybe he thought that she was also hypnotized or something like that, and had no idea, so maybe, but I just found that scene at one point, it seemed like he was like, give me the keys, and he was just gonna go, which I liked. I still think he could have, in that situation, I still think he should have, well, I guess she just hypnotized him right away, right, so he was gonna be screwed either way, but I think he could have threw that white guy around pretty easily. That white guy's super scrawny, even though I do, that's the other thing I didn't get at the end too, is he was the guy that did the kidnapping at the beginning. I didn't get that till he saw the helmet. The brother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, because I didn't catch the car. Emily, who I watched with, said she saw the car or heard the music or something, so I didn't see that until I saw the helmet. Like, okay, that was a cool thing to tie it all back and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that guy was the guy that was dating the older white lady.
The 30-year-old lady.
Right?
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was. Walter. I think that's the actor.
So, what do you think, with the photo, obviously the person's original
state kind of comes out?
Yeah, so what do you think happened when that lady was all weird and crying and laughing? Do you think was going on there? Do you think that was just the grandma, or she was trying to come out anyway without the flash?
Well, I think she couldn't fully get out, but I think he's talking to he's talking about obviously being African American, right? And that's something the little sliver could relate to. So I think if you're talking to something that is based on, or is that something that the little sliver can relate to, that maybe it starts to creep out, because she doesn't fully come out, right? So to me, I take it as a way it is that person trying to get out of that mind state because they hear something they recognize, or a conversation they've had before about being African American people around a bunch of white people, so that's how I took it as, is he was having a conversation that resonated with her, so she could kind of come out, but she's not going to come out fully unless you do the picture. Which the one thing I'd say is, how come do you think when they took the picture of, I think his name was Walter, in the party, he freaked out, but then when he did the picture of the grandpa, he just turned around and killed the woman? What was
because so Walter wasn't there by choice.
Mm-hmm.
He was like Chris, who was taken and someone was put into his body.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden his actual person comes out, and there's another black guy here who hasn't been transferred yet. Obviously, you're trying to warn him that he needs to fucking leave. That's why he ran at him.
That's why he's
get out.
Yeah.
And then the grandpa, when his psyche was taken over with the picture, so then it became the original guy whose body it was. He didn't want to be the fucking grandpa anymore, so he just shot himself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that part I got, but I was wondering what the difference was, but that makes sense. So, yeah, that cleared that up for me, yeah.
So, that whole party, it was so awkward and just so amazing. I really love how they did it. Just everything from the comments to that whole part, like you said, when they go silent when he's upstairs, to the bidding that happens, that bingo auction. I just thought that was such a really cool idea, and especially once you find out what happened and that the conversations were actually, to find out how much they're willing to pay for his body.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was really well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, it was a good setup, and like I said, I think other than the few little horror tropes, I thought the ending was good, of him breaking out, him killing everybody. It was a clever way. I liked the actual video of them explaining what was going to happen, because it was this weirdly shot home video infomercial, the family and everything, and I like that. Okay, that's why everything I did, all the reveals. That's why the son is studying to be a doctor like his dad, so he can do it, and same thing. So and I like that she looked at she was looking at top basketball prospects and everything like that, eating cereal in a weird fucking way when she ate a piece of cereal, then drank milk. Never seen that before, but
I did like too how this is kind of a link back to a female trait that when girls get serious, they put their hair up, and so after the reveal, she put her hair up and it never came down again, and her personality after that was always serious and shit. But before that, her hair's down and she's fun and playful with Chris all the time. So that was kind of a cool thing to see, just to differentiate between the two personalities.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to shout out as far as positive or negatives? Because I think for me, I've hit everything. I'm sure some might pop up, but I think I've hit all my big points.
No, I think I've hit most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the whole deer thing in the beginning was just kind of showed the discrimination right away with the cop.
Yeah.
But I feel like it almost was kind of a weird way to introduce it, especially because I did think the cop was coming back at the end.
Maybe that was kind of done on purpose to make you think like that was going to be
Yeah.
cop. Yeah, the deer thing. The beginning was a little weird because like the character of Rose, she right away is kind of like, oh, my parents are acting rude towards that person, and she kind of acknowledges that they're a little racist.
Yeah.
But this is where mine did get away that she was in on it. Was then the next day when he wants to leave, she does eventually agree to leave. But at first she's like, what do you like? She's kind of offended that he wants to leave. But it's like, well, you were just there the night before where like he seemed like this stuff could offend him. So it's like that was the thing that gave away for me. It was like, why are you acting all of a sudden like, oh, why would you want to leave? It's like, why wouldn't he want to leave? Like, so, and she was standing there with him when someone just said like, being great is black because it's an in thing right now, you know? So it's like, when she was like, why would you want to leave? Like, you want to leave without me? I was like, okay, she's definitely bad. Because that made no sense for like, 1 second she was super caring and then the next like, oh, why are you questioning that? So that was the only thing of like, a little bit of a giveaway for me. But it was still worth it. I wouldn't take that away so we could still have that party scene, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything else you have to add?
No, I don't. I'll give a score. Like I said, I think overall I really liked it. I guess I would say this though, on this, so you can say in your score. I don't know, because I know the answer to this. I don't know when I would watch this again, and for me it's almost like, other than San Junipero, it is like a Black Mirror episode where once I've seen it, it's done. It's kind of like, I equated some horror movies like this to like a magic trick. Once you've seen it and you kind of see the trick behind it, you're like, okay, I know the reveal. I know I'll see it again sometime in my life, but I don't know if it's like right away I need to see it again. But like I said, a few names that it was like a little slow for me, a little predictable, and a little horror tropist, but the good really outweighs the negatives. It's really original, really unique, really has a lot of tension to it. Very nerve-wracking, very well shot. Like, it's a very beautiful movie. I think the score works for the most part, but there's a couple times where
Some of those close-up scenes of Chris when he's like crying and stuff.
Yeah, those are brutal. Like, yeah, the imagery is really good. So yeah, I think for me, I go an 8 out of 10. That's what I would
Only
go.
8.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Just because for me, the beginning I felt actually was slow. There was a few things I would have just sped up a little, where it was just like I wasn't getting bored, but I was to the point of like, okay. And I think for me, if it was slow, but I didn't predict things to be different, but when I found stuff a little predictable and it being slow, that was the double whammy of like, okay, it's slow and I know where this is going. So that's why I like the second half more, because there's a bit more turns and it was just a bit more quick and a bit more getting to the plot. So yeah. So yeah, an 8 out of 10 for me.
I definitely can see where you're coming from with the, now that I know what's going to happen, watching it again.
Yeah,
might
well,
be,
the same effect, yeah.
Yeah. I do want to watch it again. I won't go to it in theaters or anything. I'll wait till I can watch it at home. But I do think it would be one of those movies that if you watch it again, you will pick out little things
I think
that
so
you
too.
kind of missed the first time that kind of add to it. But I for right now, I don't plan on seeing it again. I enjoyed watching it this one time. I think it had a good effect the first time. There was lots of moments that I actually didn't predict and things that I really thought were wound into the movie really well. There were times, like I said, that the music kind of took me out of it. But overall, I would give it an 8.5.
You give me crap for an 8. You're only a 0.5 higher than me.
Well, because I did say 8.5 or 9, and I was leaning closer to a 9, but kind of after talking it over, there are definitely things that, were weird, like the whole cotton thing, and, the, typical horror movie ending, getting out of the car, and her missing all the shots. So I do think, that there was pacing issues. So there is a couple things now that I've sat here and thought about it, because I did see it opening night, so it's had time to kind of sit and think now. I would definitely bring it down to the 8.5. I do think it's a really good movie. I think coming out of the theater, I was super amazed with it. I totally understood this high score on Rotten Tomatoes. But after kind of sitting here and thinking about it, the wow factor ran off. I'll give it an 8.5.
I would have loved to have been like the festival movies and seen this without any trailers and had no idea, because it must have been like such an experience to sit there and it's just like, okay, this movie's called Get Out, it's directed by Jordan Peele, who's this like comedy guy. So going in knowing, I would have loved to live in a world knowing nothing absolutely about this movie, because I think the reveals would have been even more crazy.
Well, I think had you gone into it forgotten about things like I had, that was part of it. I didn't remember the scene of her with this gun and all of this kind of stuff. So for me, when that happened, when you kind of do the key thing and then all of a sudden she's like, you can't leave.
I think they showed it before Split at my theater, so that's why I'd seen it more recently again. So I know it was at the theater at one point when I saw it again, and I was like, oh, I'm still excited for this. But I think that's why I'd seen it quite recently. But the girl thing that in that gun, I was just remembering because I'm like, oh, she's bad. I know it. She's bad. Because most of the time that's usually the twist is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're in on it. So I was kind of that was my one. I was really hoping she wasn't in on it and they could have left together. But no, she was.
I was
definitely in
hoping
on
for it too, but I don't necessarily know how exactly they would have gone about it without becoming overly horror-y if she
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Especially with, because the other friend, right? If she wasn't in on it, then...
Yeah, that part wouldn't have made sense. Like the rest of the stuff, maybe. Yeah, that's true. It's like a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
Of like you lose some things and you gain some things. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My recommendation: go see it.
Yeah, I would. Well, I guess you've spoiled everything if you watch this and haven't seen the movie. But I would still say go see it. Support original movies if you like more movies like this. If you don't want to keep seeing remakes and sequels and superhero movies. To me, I want to see all that stuff, but I want to see the original stuff too, and that's why you got to go support this.
One's the breakout director too, if I'm not mistaken. Right? This is his first.
Oh yeah, well he's big from his show Key and Peele. Like that's like it was a huge hit on Comedy Central, but now this is his first time directing. He says he wants to keep doing original stuff, and this is. Yeah, I said before, it's going to be interesting to see what he does next. I think he said he wants to stay more in the horror realm, but starting off with a movie that's 100% Rotten Tomatoes, that's a tough climb for him. But I'll be interested to see what I did come out going. Oh, I'm excited to see more what he's going to do. So
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps this up, I definitely, like I said, I like the fact that it's not a jumpy scare horror. Like it's actually. It's got all the elements of a good movie. There's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of horror, kind of the suspensey thriller thing going on.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly impressed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Go to geekverspodcast.com. Find everything. Taylor's not here, so we can get through this quick. Find everything. Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Twitch, whole shebang. We got the Golden Geeks releasing either before or after this. It's our awards thing. We announced some of the winners. Or all the winners. And then, what is it? Next week's Logan review, check that out. It's going to be like this spoiler discussion. There's only half an hour. I imagine that's going to be a lot longer because there's going to be more of us and there's going to be a lot to digress. A lot of breakthrough. I'm going to be crying the whole time. So
it'll be interesting to see what I think. I'm the only one that's not excited about it.
Mm-hmm. That is a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's pretty high too.
96?
Yeah.
Wow.
And even the negative reviews I've seen it's just another superhero movie. I'm sorry, I can't even if you think it's like a 7, I don't know. I'll rant when we see it. Check it out. Subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. Thank you for tuning in. Logan's next week. Promise you will not be boring.
Never is.
It never is, no.